Welcome to Monday. We weren't here for 1 week and it feels like it's been a month. So this morning we actually have, and I'm just going to go ahead and get us started. We actually have Analena Fuchs here, who is a certified level 3 quantum human design specialist, and she is graciously stepping in, and she's going to be presenting the Quantum Human Design Evolution Report this week as Karen is flying back from, she's in the air right now, or she will be shortly. So Analena has done this week's report, and just as a reminder, if you go to karencurryparker.club, karencurryparker.club, on that page there, we have the evolution report in video format. We have a written report for you. So everything that Analena is going to talk about here today will be available if you go to karencurryparker.club there for you as well. So without further ado, Analena, you could take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen, for the nice introduction. I'm honored to be doing this for everybody. Awesome. All right. So let's dive in. So what do we have today? It's September 13, 2021. First of all, I hope you all had a beautiful weekend. And so today, we're basically starting off the week with the Sun in Gate 47, which is in Quantum Human Design, the Gate of Mindset. Or called the Gate of Realization in traditional human design, and then the Earth is in Gate 22, which is the Gate of Surrender in quantum human design. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Sun first. So if you remember from last week, so the Sun just transitioned through Gate 64, just before this gate, the Gate of Divine Transference, which was all about receiving big ideas and downloads from the divine, right? These really big ideas that can be really overwhelming. And now Gate 47 is the complementing gate of the whole channel that connects the head to the ajna, the channel of divine potential in quantum human design. I mean, I guess you all agree with me, that's just the most beautiful word to describe the channel. And so now we are basically invited to have an open and really possibility-oriented mindset that those big ideas that we received will manifest, when the time is right. It's always about patience and really staying in a place of inspiration. And even though you still don't know how, right? You still maybe in this state of, because we always know the mind wants to figure things out. But really the whole message here in quantum human design is to stay in this place of wonder and curiosity and letting the universe show you how it will actually manifest. And I want to talk a little bit here about mindset, because that's what the name that Karen gave this gate, right? Because mindset is such a widely used word in the self-development world. And ever since I started my journey about 5 years ago with coaching and following like self-development people, like it was all about, you gotta have a good mindset, right? So, and it's really of special importance at this time. So throughout, it's always important, but especially now with this gate activated, to really make a conscious effort to shift your focus towards hope, towards trust, to inspiration, what's possible. Really focus on the possibilities. And the possibilities is always in the field of the unknown, right? Like we don't know the answers because it comes out of this big quantum field of possibilities, which is the unknown. So just inviting you to not be scared of the unknown, but actually allow yourself to see the unknown as your biggest friend. And even though, as we know, the world around you may be really turbulent right now, there are lots of things going on. I think we probably have all felt the energies. I had myself a really turbulent, interesting, emotionally intense week. And I want to remind you that you can totally influence where you choose to shift your mind and thinking. And to me, really, like mindset is that's the filter that you're seeing the world through, right? Because, and you may know this from yourself or have seen other people, there can be two people in the exact same circumstance. And really based on how you see it through this mindset filter or the glass that you're seeing the world through, you create your reality, right? And one may be based on victim stories, why is this happening to me? And then the other one may be based on possibility and expansion and more focused on why is this happening? How is this happening for me, right? So it's really like, I want to invite you to the question for yourself, like, which one are you choosing, right? And I do know from my own personal experience, and all these beautiful humans I've talked to, I had the honor to meet in my life so far, it's so easy for us humans to get caught in negative mental loops, right? And victim stories. I mean, that's just our mind is actually always programmed. I mean, it's the survival instinct is always looking actually for problems. So, and we very easily feel defeated. We feel like we're not good enough, and especially not good enough to make those big ideas that we may have received to actually manifest them into form. So I think we all know the self-doubt, the inner critic, right? The thing is that it's not really serving you, me, I, or all of us and our purpose here on planet Earth, right? So when it does happen, when the inner critic comes up, which in itself is almost inevitable, right? I just invite you to lovingly acknowledge that part of you, that inner critic that actually just want you to know has the intention actually to keep you safe. And just have a little talk with yourself, right? And I'm just going to give you like a little example what that could look like. So when it happens, right, when all the self-doubt and all the negative thinking arises for you, just take a pause, take a deep belly breath. We can do this right now. And just release that. And really just notice. And then you could say to yourself, for example, well, I hear you. I love you. It's okay that you feel this way. And you don't know how to make it happen. That's okay too. I get it. But what if it's possible and the how will show up itself magically when I least expect it? So why not? Like today I just choose to believe and trust that when the divine time is here, that the seemingly impossible will become possible with ease and grace. You know, it happens for many other people too. Why not for me? Right? And in the meantime, I'm just choosing joy and fun in my life. I'm focusing on how I can contribute in this world and focus on what I actually have, right? So that's an example. And of course, I think you get my point. And of course, choose your own words. But it's really like all about acceptance versus resistance, because this is one of the, if I would ever get a tattoo, it would be probably what you resist persists, what you accept has the capacity to change. Because the thing is, when we resist the negative thoughts, when we resist the inner critic, that's when we make it bigger. That's when we give it so much meaning, and it takes us over. And then the whole day is gone, and we went into this big hole, right? So the key is really not to judge yourself, right, when it comes up, right? Because we may be like, oh, I'm supposed to have it all together. I'm supposed to be so confident. And here I am again, questioning myself, right? And having this critic run around in my head. So with really like awareness about that, and through loving acceptance, this mental negative chatter that, as we know, is not really serving us, it can literally, like, just like ice cream in the Florida sun, I'm in Florida here, it can melt away and shift you into a state of expansive thinking quickly. Because I learned this recently from another teacher about our thoughts. Like, you are not your thoughts. What you are is you're the thinker of your thoughts. And when it comes up, be aware, all right, that's not taking me anywhere. Let's just shift it. But from a very loving and compassionate, non-judgmental way, right? So this was a little bit about mindset, which I thought was really important to kind of dive a little bit deeper into. And then while the sun is still in gate 47 for the next couple of days, the earth is in gate 22. And it's such a beautiful combo, because this is the gate of grace and traditional human design, and called the gate of surrender in the quantum language. And now when you master this energy, you will feel deeply grounded, which is really essential for you to tap into the expression of the sun gate, right? Just like in your incarnation cross, right? You may know this, that it's very hard for us to live out our conscious sun, unconscious sun expression, what we're here to give to the world, when we don't feel grounded as humans. Feeling grounded is just so important. And that this week is really surrendering. And that all goes to, like, you don't have to figure anything out. Like, be in a state of wonder and awe. Let life show you, trust, have faith, right? That will really give you a deep sense of grounding. And I mean, not only this week, this is also something I feel like every single day that will benefit us if we choose to surrender and let life show us, right? And I also want to let you know that that's the really important word here, that it's safe. It's safe to have faith that everything will unfold just perfectly for you, right? Because again, it comes from the unknown. And I think we're oftentimes so scared that it may not be safe, because feeling safe, that's one of the fundamental needs as humans, right? And all your passions, all your heart's desires, they are supported by the universe, right? And I want you to really have that, or bring out that courage for you to go for your passions, because they're really there for a reason. And sometimes things have to fall apart first before we actually can get really in touch with what our passions are and allow ourselves to go for that. So really trust, have faith, and surrender into this knowing that it's all working out for you. And so the energy of Mother Earth is really here to ground all of us into this energy and align your emotional frequency so that it actually can manifest, right? Those big ideas that came your way. So again, I invite you all to take a deep breath into this. Just let this sink in. And now we're gonna get to what's happening on Wednesday, because that's when the sun and the earth will move into different gates. And this will be the major theme really for the rest of the week. So on Wednesday, the 15th of September, the sun is transitioning into gate 6, which is the gate of impact in quantum human design. And then the earth will transition into gate 36, which is called the gate of exploration in the quantum language. And so just like gate 22, which was also on the emotional solar plexus, or the creativity center, these are also, both of these gates are coming off the emotional solar plexus, right? So we're going to also be talking here now a lot about emotional energy, and in particular emotions. So we're going to have, what this basically means, we're going to have lots of emotions, but also lots of creative juices flowing this week. And at the same time, these energies are all really about mastering our emotional alignment, right? So gate 6 first, which is in traditional human design is called the gate of friction. And then again, much nicer word in quantum human design is called the gate of impact. And in its highest expression, like Karen teaches us so beautifully, is this gate is all about holding a high frequency of emotional energy that influences others, and from this place can create more peace, equitability, and sustainability for the tribe. So what I want to dive deeper into here is that term, like holding a high frequency of energy, right? Because, and I know this is, I think, in a lot of the gates, and we may understand this logically, like, okay, I just have to hold a high frequency of energy, yet in practical reality life, it may not be the easiest, right, to just do it, to hold a high frequency of energy. So I want to take us a little bit into the world of emotions. And your emotions, they are the ones, and again, also, just to know, you are not your emotions. That's what you feel, right? So your emotions, they carry a frequency. So emotions like love, joy, peace, they carry a very high frequency. And emotions like fear, guilt, and shame, they carry a very low frequency, right? And being a human, you can experience all ranges of emotions, right? There's not a single human, not even Buddha, that is like prone to not feeling any of those other emotions, right? And to actually hold a high frequency, like energy of emotional frequency of energy, it's really important to understand that what really matters in terms of manifestation is the baseline frequency, right? And I do know Karen, she talks about it a lot also in her book, The Quantum Human. I highly recommend that book anyways, towards the mutation, the solar plexus mutation towards 2027. But basically, I want to explain this a little bit. The baseline frequency is the average of all the emotions that you feel over time, right? And like I said, and we live in a world of polarity, right? I'm not going to be able to live a life without sleeping at night, right? There's hot and cold, there's day and night, there's female and male, and masculine and feminine energies, right? It's all in nature. And so we all experience high and lows on the emotional spectrum. That's unavoidable in a way. And the thing is, also I want to point this out because people that have emotional definition, right? People that have emotional authority or creative authority in the quantum language, you experience this more consistently, right? This is something that you radiate out into the world. You send this out into the world, right? Like that's something you know. And I do know from all the readings I've done, all the people I've spoken to, people often don't know, like, what is this? Is there something wrong with me? Especially when it goes to the lower emotions. And like Kristen is here, Kristen has emotional authority, right? And some of the high highs and low waves. And I know people in my life that have it. And we have learned so early on in life that it's not okay to be sad, especially for a long time. It's not okay to cry and all of that, right? So we have been learning to suppress this a lot. But the other thing is, I want to also say, also people with an open or undefined solar plexus, like myself, for example, my solar plexus is literally open. I don't have one single gate defined. And we also experience those emotions and we actually amplify them. So when I'm around a person with emotional definition and they have a low, I amplify the low, right? When they have a high, I amplify the high. So like all of us, like 100% of humanity, we all experience the high emotions and the low emotions, right? And emotions are, and I remember Betsy yesterday from the conference, she said that, I think she said it as well, or maybe it was somebody else, but emotions are energy in motion. And in order to keep them moving, which is really key, through our bodies, we need to also, just like when I talked about the mindset, about the negative thoughts, we also need to acknowledge and feel them, right? They're not our enemy. They're actually here for us. There is so much creativity in especially the low emotions when we feel sad and all of that. It's a natural process. But like I was just saying a little bit earlier, most of us, and I want to almost say all of us, we have been conditioned to suppress our negative emotions, right? Especially fear, anger, shame, guilt, and sadness. Now, when we do this, right, when we suppress those low vibing emotions, what actually happens is they stay stuck in our body. They stay stuck in our energy field. And then over time, they're literally just like a heavy stone. They pull down this baseline frequency that we're holding in our body. And that's then what we manifest. I have another mentor, she always calls it the back end manifesting. You literally like, even though you try with even the thinking and the mind to be positive, if we have a lot of trapped low vibrating energy stuck in our bodies, that's what we will manifest, right? Because life will always send you, experiences into your life that will trigger these low vibe emotions so that you can feel them, so that you can acknowledge them and release them from your body so that you can then raise your baseline frequency again. So the unbalanced expression of gate 6 is when we feel desperate, when we feel emotionally reactive, and we do whatever it takes to just be seen and heard. Because let's be real, we all are humans, right? Not just projectors. Like we all want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be recognized. And I think, of course, for projectors, it's more of a theme. It's a stronger theme in life. And what's important this year is that we gently notice when this arises, right? Yeah, I may feel desperate. Yeah, I may feel emotionally reactive. But the key is here not to actually react on it, right? And take it out on other people, but lovingly invite this part of you, feel the emotions, and then really shift your focus back into how you want to feel. So the key message here for you is to really, again, lovingly acknowledge when you have negative emotions arise through acceptance, so feeling them. And I know for myself, especially this past week, it's so funny that I'm doing this exactly today. And I don't know if anybody of you was at the Human Design Conference, but I had the honor to be in a love seat with Betsy yesterday. And she so lovingly guided me through releasing some of my own trapped emotions, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was also painful. I cried a lot. But this is where the magic is, right? Like, I always like to also think about a flower. I mean, the bloom is not going to be here the first day, right? I mean, the seed is first in the darkness in the soil. It may be really uncomfortable. But by accepting this and really surrendering into the soil and other possibilities that are there from staying there and not fighting it, right? If the seed would fight it, it would probably find a way out of the dirt, and then it gets out, and then it's never going to be blooming and blossoming, right? But by really accepting it, feeling it, also with emotions, they will pass through, and quicker than you may actually think is possible, and then they don't stay stuck in your energy field. And the quicker you can really tap into feeling your emotions that then carry higher frequencies as well, right? So I hope this is helpful, because I can imagine that, especially like when we learn this, always like, yeah, just be high vibe, just be positive, just be optimistic. Like, we gotta accept the shadows, right? And this is also in the Gene Keys. I'm kind of rephrasing a lot from the conference this weekend. I mean, I heard Richard Rudd talk about the shadows. Like, we gotta just be aware of it. It's nothing bad, right? If we make it bad, if we resist it, we push it away, that's when it will take over. And then we will have more of this and get into a vicious cycle. So the more you can allow it, the more you can feel that part of you and really love that part of you. That's what I invite you to, love that part of you, because that's part of being a human. And this will then naturally help you to be less reactive and really allow yourself to create impact in the world from a more deliberate, right? Not a reactive, but a more deliberate place. That's really where the magic is for all of us. And you yourself will also feel so more peaceful within, because there's so much power, right? When we can feel the uncomfortable. And this is also, you may have heard this saying, right? Like, magic happens outside of your comfort zone. I also sometimes like to rephrase it like, when we stretch gently our comfort zone. But if we humans never get uncomfortable, we will stay where we're at, right? And we are right now in a time of so much speed and change. It's literally, I think it's a little bit of a shock for all of our nervous systems. And I think I learned this weekend, and Kristen, correct me if this is not correct, but one of the speakers was pointing out that the South and the North Node, until the beginning of next year, are in gate 34 and 20. That basically means every single baby that's going to be born till then is going to be a manifesting generator. It's going to be a time bender. Is that correct, Kristen?
Yes.
Yeah, so I literally, I'm having goosebumps as I say this. I'm a manifesting generator myself, right? So for me, this was like, wow, we're really in a time to bend time so fast. We're quantum leaping. And this may be a lot, right? We are really like, our nervous system, we gotta get uncomfortable right now, right? And this will bring out all these emotions that are probably trapped and stuck in our bodies, that are no longer serving us, so that we can create more peace, more equitable situations, more love and abundance for all of us, right? And the other thing that's also important to mention is that you will be able to share your words of wisdom, your insights, your ideas, and all of this when the timing is right. And the more you're able to master your emotional energy, can allow what will come up for you without judging and resisting yourself, right? That will really help us collectively create more peace, sustainability, and equitability for others. So it's really like it's a huge ripple effect. And then the Earth will be in gate 36. Again, it's a gate in the creativity center. And that's the gate of crisis in traditional human design. That's almost like, whoa, right? The word in itself, not very high vibe. However, Karen renamed it to the gate of exploration in the quantum language. And again, this is now the energy that will help us starting Wednesday, when the Earth is moving into that gate, to help us feel more stable and grounded. And this energy is really inviting us to hold a vision and sustain it through emotional alignment, so that you can manifest it when the time is right. Right? It's all about being patient. And it's asking us to not jump from just one thing to the next, which I know for myself, being a manager, a time bender, and gate 11, having all these ideas all the time. Like, we may, so what I was saying, not jumping from one thing to the next, when we may, especially when we experience emotional highs and lows and sudden sparks of excitement, like, I invite you to be with that. When you have those emotional lows, be with that. Be really curious. What is your body trying to tell you? Is it slowing down? Maybe there is some really deep creativity coming up for you. I can tell you from my experience I had over this past week, where a lot of rejection, hurt, fear of abandonment, all these things were coming up, a lot of stories around money. I was in such an emotional, challenging time, like for many days. But this morning when I woke up, I had the biggest epiphany about what my work is about, what my message is, what I'm going to be doing here in this world. And I actually cried. I mean, it was actually then turned into tears of joy. And I also reminded myself, okay, it's not my place now to jump the gun either, right? I let it kind of settle a little bit and mature it a little bit. So when we're in a place of more neutral emotional energy, right, that's the place when we can take action. That's when we're in a better place to listen to our sacral or whatever your human design strategy and authority is, right? Because when we jump into things super quick, it will turn into chaos, right? And then we have to redo other things, especially as manifesting generators. So patience and really sticking with an experience will bear fruits. Really trust that. And really I invite you also focus on what has been working in your life, right? And we also know that we get frustrated. We feel like we are stuck, but I do invite you, stick with it. Don't just jump into the next because you haven't seen the full fruition of what you have been doing so far, right? And this also reminds me of a quote by Lao Tzu, which I really love. It says that nature doesn't hurry, yet everything gets accomplished or is accomplished. And this is the same for us humans, right? And I also saw this, was really inspired by Rosie at the Human Design Conference. She shared her whole journey and all these beautiful videos of how she came into creating the card deck with the faces, and now her collaboration with Richard Rudd. And she wrote a book. I mean, such a creative, beautiful being. And it was such a graceful journey. She allowed herself to really trust herself when something didn't feel right, not going with the regular kind of marketing that's out there, how you should be doing things. She really trusted herself. And I mean, she has created such a piece of beauty and magnificence. And I mean, it was just so beautiful. And it all came from this, you can go so slow. And I really believe the more patience we have, the slower we allow ourselves to go, the bigger the impact is, because nothing really happens when we rush it. And that's really what this quote is saying. And nature doesn't hurry anything, right? Even the flower, I mean, I cannot push it out of the ground and push the seed so the flower comes out. It happens with the least amount of resistance, right? It happens through allowing it and just being. So always make sure, reminder for all of us, for myself, when you are in an emotional neutral space, right? That's when you want to make decisions. And which, like I said, goes back to following your human design authority. And this is where we have then the potential to really break and create new patterns for humanity, right? Because that's really what this gate is also about. And eventually really manifest miracles through emotional alignment, because this is in the miracle circuitry, right? So to sum this up, and I'm seeing here we have a nice amount of time to have a little conversation. So my message really for you this week is that you're neither your thoughts nor your emotions, yet do not resist that, right? It's part of the human experience. So notice it lovingly, and know you have the power to shift it into what you desire to think and feel. And be sure to expect miracles. So
Thank you so much, Analena. I just want to take a moment to, before we take some questions, just to respond and also just to reset the room for those that join later on. Karen will be back next week. Analena is one of our certified quantum human design specialists, and she's graciously is doing the quantum human design evolution report for Karen this week. As Analena mentioned, we had our second annual International Human Design Conference this past weekend in Colorado Springs, and it was in person and online. And I got to hug Nikki in person. That was amazing. She's in the room. So I just want to, first, real quick, before I go into that, I just want to have a few comments about that. If you go to KarenCurryParker.club, you can get Analena's written report and watch a video of this week's evolution report. So that's KarenCurryParker.club. And then on that page, we just wanted to have a resource that makes it easy for y'all to get some extra resources and links there for all things related to quantum human design. But Analena, I just wanted to say I love the divine timing and alignment of everything that kind of happened. Analena attended conference virtually, and I happened to be in the room when, Betsy it was just an amazing quantum alignment system session. And quantum alignment system is one of our 2 professional training tracks that Karen has, and it involves EFT tapping. And it's when you're in a room with a group of people, so whether online or in person, you get what they call borrowed benefits of being able to tap and move the energy in your body. And the whole room was in tears. And I think it was profound and very moving to, it resonated on a level with all of us in when we tap, the power of tapping and moving that energy and clearing out space. And I love that you shared that what you went through this past week and then your experience at conference that you allowed us all to be a part of. And then you woke up this morning refreshed, renewed, this new energy, tears of joy, right? It's like, that's the power of doing the work and allowing, it to just process through you and to move the energy and move the emotions and move through it instead of resisting it. So I just wanted to share that and say that thank you to you for just for showing up, for being you, for being vulnerable, being authentic, and just for being who you are. So I love you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too. No, it was really, that's what I think I want to just also say this. I could have pushed it away. The way that I attended the conference all divinely happened. I actually won the ticket to the conference. And I didn't know that I had the opportunity to be the lab student. I was actually uncomfortable to volunteer because I knew I had something that I still had to be processed deeper. And then it happened. It happened so magically and effortless, right? And it was also for me because it was all about being my authentic self, right? And I surrendered into that experience. Like, it was really the gay 22 in its fullest expression, so to say. And it was the most, I felt so accepted. I felt so loved. I felt so safe and so seen. And I even received a few messages after. And I was so deeply moved by how my story, that I thought there may be something wrong with it and these kind of things, like, wow, it resonated with so many people. And now I got this, like I said, so much clarity. Like, whoa, that's what I'm going to have to talk more about. And I have known this like for years, but I didn't have the clarity how it will look like. And it's just really like surrendering into divine timing and letting it happen. It's not, it doesn't happen rushed. It happens through, the element of patience and, letting it evolve. So also thank you for giving me that opportunity. Just divinely orchestrated. So thank you.
Okay. Paige, if you want to hop out.
Yeah, the comments that I have are about the fact that nature doesn't rush, and it's also a paradox with how quickly the energies are shifting now, and that also relates to my brain injury recovery and walking, how that certainly has been its own process and it's taken its own time, and I need to be patient with myself too.
Yes, that is, thank you for sharing that, Paige. And I can only imagine like how challenging this may be, right? but the more you can allow yourself also, like I always say this, I mean, and I have to remind myself so many times, everything in life happens for us, right? And when we have really, really challenging, really painful experience happening, we can question it, right? We can fall into like, why me, or this is unfair. But I also have seen it now so many times, also from my own journey. Often the more challenging it is, the deeper the pain, the more magic. I mean, the more like the most incredible, beautiful things are on the other side. And that will be for you as well, right? So I'm sending you much love and even more patience and really compassion with yourself, right? I know you're doing the best you can, like we all do. And there will be so much magic coming out of this for you, I'm sure about that.
Elaine, you want to unmute yourself, love?
Hi, family. So good to see you all. So this is kind of an awkward question, but I have to say it because it's a pattern, right? I'm recognizing a pattern. I see, this is what triggered the question, Analena. Hi. Thank you for the report. When you said something about being in a group space and the healing happening collectively, or everyone feeling the emotions as you were going through the hot seat, love seat coaching, I've noticed that when you all come here, you all come as a group. It's not like just one. It's not like Kristen or Jamila or Cindy or Karen. It's like all four of you or five of you. And so is the community, I don't call it community or group aspect, something like, is it done intentionally? What's the purpose behind that? To be moving together as a group?
I love this question. Analena, do you want to share something? I mean, I could speak to that after.
Yeah, I think we should both. I mean, for you too, please. So I personally, I mean, we don't live in this world to just do it all ourselves, right? I feel like that's often a very lonely space. And there's just so much safety, right? We can jump in for each other, we can support each other, we can love each other. And it's such a loving energy. And I mean, I have to say, since I joined Karen's training, like my sequel was the most purest sequel, yes, I have ever experienced. And I understand why. I mean, I'm personally a 4-line, right? I'm a 2-4 profile. I think I know that also Kristen and Jamila are 2-4, right? You both are also 2-4 lines. So
yep, and Cindy and Karen
are 4-6.
Our 4-6 is Betsy's also a 2-4, so that was going to be part of my thing. We're all 4th lines.
Yeah, so it's a 4-line thing. So maybe if somebody's a 1-3, 3-5, I mean, some of the other profiles, maybe there will be a different dynamic. And I know some people, they do best when they do things by themselves. I can tell you from my experience as a 2-4 line, and I also am looking at my human design chart, I'm totally like a leader, teacher, super independent. But then I need that community. I'm craving it, and there's something missing in my life. And what I have learned, especially through human design, is that it's not there's something wrong with me. It's just that's my nature, and that's totally okay. And also, the more about how I learn how this world operates, how I love to work with others, it always goes back to community and group, and there's so much healing that can happen, because like when people come together that are having like similar intentions and values, it's such a safe space also for people to share their wounds, their challenges, and all these things. So yeah, I mean that's my response to that, and I think it's beautiful. It's just, for me, it's just beautiful magically, and it's like family. And so many of us, we, like for me, for example, I live in Florida, and my entire family, I mean, the family I grew up with, they all live in Germany. I have now my daughter here, I have a partner. But I really consider the quantum human design community like my family. and I have experienced Karen and Team. I always say it's just pure love, and I see that not at a lot of places, and it's just beautiful and nourishing. And
well, I feel like you just gave me a segue, because that's literally what I was going to respond to. In response, I was going to say that, and speaking on behalf of Karen and Team, we, our brand is love, and I think for me personally, even just what I thought before I was even on the team, the most tragic thing for me in my life would be no one left in life for me to love, because I feel that my purpose here is to love. And so I know that, we work relentlessly to create a space for the community, for people to feel like, to feel love, to feel like they're a part of a family. And, family isn't the blood doesn't determine family, right? We get to choose who our family is. And ultimately, we all beat with the same cosmic heart. Ultimately, we all are one. And whether we like it or not, we actually really are all family. So, in this space, I think that there's, especially for me personally, I would hate for someone to feel alone in this world. There's so many people in this world, and it would be tragic. That's why I love that this community specifically knows, like, hey, we're here, and we've created that safe space for people to reach out when they need support and they need help. When they are in the vulnerable spaces, they know that they have someone and somewhere to go, someone they can reach out to. And sometimes, all it takes is that one person to be there for another, to make a complete life change. And so that's what we try to cultivate here, for others to kind of hold that space, hold that intention. So I don't know, Aline, did that help answer your question? I love that question, though. That was good.
Yeah, and appreciate the perspective on the lines too.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I know it's all of our fourth lines, and I think it's a fun dynamic. And it's also interesting too, because I will say, Jamila and myself and Karen are all time benders or manifesting generators, and Cindy and Betsy are alchemist generators. So we work remotely. We're in different states, so we love as a time bender, I love to have my space to be able to get work done, but we have this constant connection there through technology to connect with our community, to connect with each other. And so I think that is a really nice balance, like what we get to have in the way that this has kind of been created. So thankful for that and the way that plays out. And Cindy, Jamila, you can pop out and say anything if you have anything to share in response to that as well.
I have background noise, but I love you, Elaine. I have my hand over my phone running to the back room. So I'm just a little quieter today. But actually, I agree with everything. And I think it is part of that fourth line thing too, right? Because we just kind of, and being a 2-4, right? I love my own space. I love, my fourth line loves the internet, so that I can show up with my, with my people. But I think, there's just, and with me being so tribal, it's I'm here for my tribe, and just love to be of support. But I do really feel it makes me giggle with the whole profile thing, how it really is oh yeah, this is a living example of a fourth line.
Yeah, and it just happened to be that way. It wasn't, Karen didn't formulate her team based on we as she says all the time, we make terrible formulas. It just happened to work out that way. So, and I want to thank you, Analena, for just everything that you shared. I love you're hearing, everyone in the room, you're hearing, firsthand perspective of someone who joined the community. And I've loved to watch your journey, Analena, over this past year and a half. So thank you so much for sharing all that.
You're welcome.
And Joanna, love, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. All
right. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for this beautiful sharing. I'm also a 2-4 time bender. It seems like this energy is present. So I can relate, and I appreciate all this possibility of relating in this time. And my question/comment is about trust, and this idea of surrendering, because I feel like, well, and this is my unconscious Sun Earth was the same as you talked about today. And I've been pondering about like how do we trust? What is this process? And I've come to a conclusion that there's no pathway. It's just like do it or not do it. And that is the question. Do you know another pathway, or is it just surrender, like just let go?
That's a great question. So what I have discovered for myself is that, so I'm going to tell you what surrender is not from my experience, right? So surrender is not when we're coming from the head, we're trying to figure things out and we're pushing, we're forcing, we're rushing, we're in the doing, right? Because that basically tells the universe, and I like to kind of, because this is funny, right, guys? We have we have 4 manifesting generators right now here. So, and right now it's this time bender baby's time. So it's, yeah. So basically, I always go back to also when I explain to people our strategy, right? Like for you, it's like the first is the way to respond, right? Trusting means where, like, let's say you have an idea or you want to know what the next step is, like, you really like, and I like to always have a conversation with the universe. That's how I like to explain it. It's like, all right, universe, I trust you. Like, if this is meant to be for me, you'll show me. You give me something to respond to, right? That's the energy of letting go and being this expansive, possibility-oriented space. And if I don't trust, on the other hand, I would be so focused on the doing and trying to figure it out. And then the universe literally energetically is like, all right, I'm backing off because you're not trusting me. You're not going to even see when I give you something to respond to, right? So it's really in the leaning back and in the being and allowing yourself to be in the present moment, have joy, do what lights you up. Because the faster the universe will give you things to respond to, right? And as we know, in the most unexpected way, not the way that we think something is supposed to be, right? So, Joanna, is that any helpful?
Yeah, that is helpful. And still, there's this, and this is possibly my thinking mind, but there's this, okay, yes, opening myself, doing things that I enjoy doing. But there's this thing in the back of my head that causes anxiety because I want some definition of, so the context, I moved back to my country in Brazil after living in the U.S., and situation here is not really great. And I don't have a job here. So it's like this whole level of anxiety of like, how is it that I'm just going to open myself up and enjoy in this energy field?
Yeah, no, I get you. I especially get you as a 2-4 line because we need that safety, security, right? So we it's hard for us sometimes to feel grounded when we don't have, especially that financial ground stability there. So one thing that I invite you to, which has been helping me a lot as well, is to, like, when you wake up in the morning, like, ask the question to the universe, like, I'm open to have you show me where I'm supposed to be, what am I supposed to do, because I don't know, right? I don't have the answer. Just really surrender that, figuring it out and what the details were going to look like. Surrender that to the universe. And if you keep doing this, right, because there is, when we can so easily stay stuck in the anxiety and the fear, and what I was sharing today, like, really also, this is an opportunity for you right now to feel all of this, right? Feel the anxiety, feel the lack of security you may feel, right? Like, don't judge yourself for that. Because I know this also for myself, we can get so stuck in there and so pulled further down even, right? So if you like journaling, whatever helps you, like, to process that, right? To really all the things that are coming up for you. and again, we really in this it's like this always for the generator types, this flirting with the universe, like, oh, I'm curious, what's available for me. I'm curious where it will take me, right? And your strategy, your authority will show you the way. And the more we are open to possibilities, the more we are, letting life show us where we don't need to know. Because the energy, it's just like in a relationship, right? When we need to make it happen, we need you, and we're pushing away the other person. When you are like so grounded and okay, just you being you, and if you being you doesn't resonate with the other person, then maybe there's something even better out there for you, right? And that's what I want to invite you to, and really keep asking the universe, what's my next step? What am I supposed to be doing for work? Where's the money supposed to come from? How can I, and also don't put yourself in a place of achieving, but really like, how can I contribute? How can I contribute? And I think the answers will come from that space.
And
I feel.
Joanna, if I could just add, yes, 1,000% to everything Analena just said. And I just, for everyone in the room and to Joanna specifically, this is such a great question. I just want to remind y'all as we wrap up here for today is what Karen teaches about the 3 cycles of transformation. So at any given point in time in our life, we can assess what cycle of transformation am I in. And it's not necessarily linear, and it's not meant to be a formula, but it gives us a kind of is anchoring for me to be like, oh, I'm going through this phase right now. So there's 3 phases. It is disruption, and then what she calls liminality, which is like the void, and then expansion. And so, it sounds like you're kind of in this void space right now, where there was a disruption where now you move from the US back to Brazil, and you don't know, and you're in the void, meaning things are completely different and not the same, and you don't know what is next ahead, but you do know that it's different than what it was, right? So you're in this phase. And I always we can always kind of remember, when the expansion phase feels amazing because it's like everything is in place, you're on top of the mountain and it's like, I love it here. I want to stay here. I want to stay in expansion. This feels great, right? And everything just falls into place and is feeling amazing, but it's like, we can't stay there. It's not meant to be, nothing in life is permanent. Everything's temporary. And so is that cycle. And we're meant to continue to be challenged and grow and evolve and transform and change. And so what does that mean? That means we're always going to be faced with some kind of disruption. And that void space really allows us to fall into that space of surrender. And sometimes being a time bender, I think is, Karen says that the challenge for the time benders, I think for all of us as human beings, but specifically for the time benders, is surrendering, because it's just, we want things to move super fast. And so that space of being in the void is like, especially as a 4th line too, we do not like uncertainty. We want a foundation and we want to know what's the next step. And so there's so many lessons, and that's where we really deepen and solidify that frequency of faith. And I always come back to like anchoring into that, like this what I'm going through right now, this void space, this unknown, this uncertainty, like personally and on a collective level, right? We're all experiencing that to some degree. Really is growing that faith muscle. It really is allowing you to anchor into that baseline frequency of faith and strengthen it. And so back to what Analena was saying, absolutely life is happening, for us, not to us. And so I think we constantly need to be reminded of that. And then this is when we come back to having support and having a community and having people to remind us of the things that we know, but constantly forget. And so, that's it. That's what I wanted to say in response to that. So.
Thank you so much. This was really, really helpful. Thank you, Analena, Kristen, Jamila, and everyone here.
You're welcome. And I wanted to let you know my grandpa was born in Brazil. So.
Oh, that's lovely.
Okay.
So thank you so much. I think we will wrap it up here. I just want to thank thank Jamila and Analena. Cindy had to hop off the call, but thank you everyone who is here. Remember that you can get Analena's report on KarenCurryParker.club, and she also has a lovely video there as well. So you can get the written report, you can watch the video, and we will be here again next week, Monday. Karen will be back with us. And again, Analena, I love you to pieces. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for just sharing the beautiful essence of who you are and your heart with us.
Oh, you're so welcome. It was really an honor. It was a joy. It was a little stretch for me also to get uncomfortable to be doing this. So it was a beautiful growing experience for myself. And I wish you all an amazing week and expect miracles.